Oh, my Aquarius risings, my water bears, how are you? Welcome to the channel. I'm going to talk about your June 2023 astrological forecast real quick with some dates, a couple other things that come into mind. I will definitely start off with the date of June 3rd that has to do with a full moon that happens in the fire mutable sign of Sagittarius. This illuminating full moon and the vision and the quest that it brings happens in the part of your chart that deals with who you connect with on a friend basis, and the group and community basis, who aligns with you, who your patrons are, who are those people that support your hopes and wishes and dreams. And this Jupiterian ruled Sagittarius sign deals with wanting to seek more and a bigger vision, a bigger truth to it all, a more philosophical view of it all. And so you will see some interesting things illuminated in the part of your chart that deals with how you connect with groups of people and community and your hopes and wishes and dreams connected to all of that. I also will say that that day in particular, Mercury, which has been in the sign of Taurus for 2 months now, the reason is because from end of April into May, it went retrograde. It's coming out of there and it's almost done. On that day of the full moon, it makes a connection to the erratic, unpredictable planet that is Uranus in the sign of Taurus. And so the type of conversations that are happening that week, that day, are out of the blue, surprising, and could bring some incredible insights to the lunation itself. Now, Jupiter's also in the sign of Taurus. So you have the North Node, Jupiter, Mercury and Uranus in Taurus, a fellow fixed sign. You also at the time have Mars in Leo, another fixed sign. You, Aquariuses, along with the other fixed signs, have been going through a lot, especially the last 2 years. But this last month has been intense, and a lot of potential changes are happening and things initiating. I want you to remember that to show yourself socially and to profess and come out of your cold cave that you can go at sometimes and start to communicate and show what your wishes and dreams are and put them out publicly and converse with those people who have your back. And so you'll be surprised of a certain type of insight that could come your way around that lunation time. When we get into June 5th, which is a couple days later, something huge happens. One of the biggest astrological transits of the year, in my opinion, happens on June 5th, and it's the planet that is called Venus, which deals with relationships, how we love, how we relate, also how we do with money and acquiring resources and creating them, is going to enter the sign of Leo, your opposite sign, a fixed fire sign. Now, why is this a big deal? The reason is Venus usually, when it's going at a certain speed, goes through a sign sometimes 5 weeks, 6 weeks. It all depends. But this time it's going to be from June all the way October. And the reason is it's because it's going to go retrograde in the middle of the summertime and go backwards. So whenever we have a retrograde cycle that happens with a planet like Venus or with Mars, it takes a long time for the process to happen. Now, this is happening in your relationship house, the place that you deal with partnerships, open enemies at times, all types of relationships, intimate ones, friends, family, whatever. There is a makeover happening here. You are going to have a story come into your life where you're going to have to understand and find new creative ways of how you do relate with people in general. And it will be going through a makeover in a sense. And when I mean a makeover is sometimes we do things to make ourselves over or make our house over, or to clean our car, we get new clothes, we get haircuts, whatever, a makeover. Now, if on a deeper sense, there's a makeover happening in your relationship part of your house, and Venus and Leo heralds that. It's interesting because that day also Mars will already be in Leo, so you're getting a clue of this because Mars entered the sign of Leo at the end of May. Okay, so you have that. So there's already been a story and tension about who you are as an Aquarius and how you relate. And this will be going on all summer long. I'm doing a deeper video that's going to be on Venus and Leo that I'm going to publish in June with more specific dates and more detail and a lot more in depth. So when we get to June 11th, Mercury, the sign that deals with this, talking, communicating, how we do this, how our minds get the words and thoughts together and how we output them, enters a fellow air sign in Gemini where it belongs and where it is at home, and the ideas and conversations are quick and they happen on multiple levels and butterfly from here to there, all types of conversations, all types of things. Now, this is really interesting because it happens for you, Aquarius rising, in the place of your chart that deals with how you connect with pleasure and how you do pleasurable things, how you feel good, how you express yourself creatively. It also deals with creative vessels and children. In a sense, a place where good things and good fortune happens. You'll be able to be talking about these things. It could be flirty, actually. A lot of Mercury and Gemini could be really quick and flirty with their words and charming. And a lot of this quickness and charm and words and communication are happening through your house of pleasure. That's a good thing, and I hope you enjoy it. But there's something else down the line that's connected to that, and I'll get to that in a second. But this is important, what I'm about to say. On the same day Mercury goes into Gemini, the planet Pluto, which, if you don't know this, entered your sign in March and will be there for at least 20 years. But it does a funny little game here. And it is on this day on June 11th that Pluto's already retrograde in Aquarius. That started in May. And then it leaves your sign of Aquarius on June 11th and goes backwards, back into Capricorn. And it goes all the way there until the end of the year, and Pluto doesn't go back into Aquarius until January of 2024. So you have to go look in the part of your life that you deal with. Put it this way: your metaphorical closets and attics and things that you have hidden that were coming up when Pluto was there since 2008 and unearthing old stories of grief and sorrow and isolation will be having one last go. But I think you know what to do, because all the lessons that you learned while Pluto was in Capricorn for all those years, you will be able to apply for the rest of the year. And once it leaves that space, it goes into your sign for 20 years, and all Aquarians will be going through a slow regenerative transformational process for those 20 years. That will happen in January 2024. I had to say that one because it's directly connected to you. When we get to June 18th, we have a new moon that happens in the sign of Gemini. So now we're back to the Gemini place where we're dealing with creativity and how you connect and do pleasure in your life and what feels good. And there's a new seated moment here that you can apply with Gemini energy, with a mutable, changeable way of looking at things, and using that Mercury and Gemini and communication to say what you want through your creativity, to profess what is your pleasure or pleasures, and to engage with others that way. The week after, the Cancer birthday started on June 21st, which is the summer solstice in the northern hemisphere, winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. And several days later, Mercury leaves your house of pleasure in Gemini and enters the emotional cardinal sign of Cancer. And now this is getting to a more workplace, as in how we deal with the little things in life that you do and how you do service in your life. And so that has to do with little systems and things. And I think here, after coming out of a heady Gemini new moon and Mercury being in Gemini and a lot of the talking happening in places in your chart, and also the relationship story that's starting, you get to actually come out of break a little bit of the ice coldness that Aquarius has and get into a more way of communicating through your emotional selves. And how you do that and the ways that you do that will be a theme while Mercury's in Cancer all the way into July. That's a quick version of everything in the month. Of course, there's going to be more. I'm going to do a monthly forecast. I'm going to do a new moon forecast. I'm definitely going to do a video on Venus and Leo because it directly affects you. If this is the first time you're here and you made it this far, support me. Hit the subscribe button. Check out my website, sparklesofgold.com, where I do one-on-one consultations. Check out the rest of the videos on my channel and the live streams that I do. Check out anything that you want. Leave a comment down below. And my water bears, I have an affinity for you, and I'll see you on the next video.